And we have a lot to discuss this morning, so let's jump right into the biggest political story of the week, the shocking revelation Monday that the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic magazine, Jeffrey Goldberg, was inadvertently added to a Signal group chat with high-ranking cabinet officials. After details of the chat by the Atlantic were discredited by administration officials, the magazine released the full text of the Signal chat on Wednesday. Those messages ahead of military strikes against the Houthis, a terrorist group in Yemen, included details about when military strike windows would start, when the bombs would drop, and the weapons that were used. Two top administration officials who were on that chat faced questions from members of Congress this week as the whole administration maintains that no classified information was shared.
We have never denied that this was a mistake, and the National Security Advisor took responsibility for that. And we have said we are making changes. We are looking into the matter to ensure it can never happen again.
Both the top Democrat and the top Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee have now requested a classified briefing on the incident and an inspector general investigation. Meanwhile, the White House said Wednesday that Elon Musk will lead an investigation on their end into the group chat. So, Mr. McCarthy, I want to start the conversation with you here. This is your side kind of defending this issue. Just from the start, when we're talking about national security issues, how does this compare to other times it's been raised, for example, whenever the Clinton emails were being discussed?
Well, national security has to be kept secret, and I think that the administration is now, after a couple of days of looking at the situation, is now getting a grip on it. The most important thing that's come from this really is looking past this to what actually happened and why we were even having this conversation, and that's because we hadn't protected the ship lanes in the Middle East. We haven't been taking action to eliminate a direct threat to our allies over there for years, and now we have, and that's been success, and we don't hear about the success there. And I think that's really what ought to be focused on going forward out of this story. Now, I think everybody knows that you don't want important information in the wrong hands, and I think everybody's owning that and trying to figure out why and where and how that happened.
Well, Mr. Yarmuth was bringing you in here. What questions do you have on this situation?
There are so many questions. I mean, there are legal issues as to whether the parties to that chat on Signal actually violated the law by discussing this on a commercial app and then also using their personal phones. One of the participants in the chat was in Moscow while this was going on. So you've got questions of judgment, you've got questions of legality, and I think the Republicans now are trying to deflect, as John just skillfully did, to say, well, this is an important thing to do, and it may have been, but you have the president saying this was a great success. We don't know that. It's been a couple days. We don't know that the attacks on the shipping lanes were successful. We don't know if the people they actually were going after they got, because there were targets, individual targets mentioned in that chat. And then the reaction of Republicans. It took a couple of days before Republicans, when they were actually confronted with the actual transcripts of that call, to realize that they had no defense. They couldn't say this wasn't classified information because it was clearly incredibly sensitive, top secret military information.
The use of Signal is an approved by the Defense Department tool for communication. And so that was testified to in front of Congress. Having as many members of the defense part of the cabinet in front of Congress to say, hey, here we are, ask away, to me was something that is unique and not avoiding the situation in which they probably could have under executive privilege. So to me, they were at the table. They were there answering questions. Now, I'm just saying that to me, there's an effort there to kind of come forward and to talk about it. Now, I think days and days.
They were there for a meeting that had already been scheduled on a different topic.
They were there. They could have avoided it. You and I both know how that can happen. Oh, I got, I'm sick. My child, my dog. None of that happened. So the ownership of this eventually is where we're at today. Now let's move on about what's really important about this national defense team is regaining their foothold on the issues that are important to protecting our country each and every day. Because whether it's the Middle East, whether it's Israel, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's over in China, and the issues that surround us, this president has, from first 100 days he's been in office, has taken action. And I think that's the most important thing I hope the American people take away from this whole segment is we're taking action, we're acting, we're moving, we're doing things.
Well, you asked another question, Bodie, about how it compares to other one, and I know you're referring to the Hillary Clinton email controversy of 9 years ago. And of course, there was a 3-year investigation of Hillary Clinton and her use of emails back then. There were reports done by the Justice Department, by the FBI. Trey Gowdy held hearings in the House of Representatives. And so that was pretty exhaustively examined from every angle. And of course, they decided that she hadn't done anything criminal. There was nothing to prosecute and so forth. Here, we'll see whether there is an exhaustive analysis of what happened. And you've got, again, Elon Musk and Mike Waltz, one of the participants in the chat, who were assigned to look into it. That is exactly the fox guarding the hen house.
We got a
We
little
never
less than a
found
minute
the
left here,
server.
guys.
We never found the server. Oh, in the Hillary Clinton. We never found the server. And so, and it's the same folks that were investigating that had a lot of other issues and challenges as it relates to, now we know their credibility on, information about secret Russian communications with the Soviet Union and things like that never really existed. So to me, let's have this, let's go through the process with the investigation, but the most important thing is that we put our foot on the ground and we're taking action to protect the American people and our commerce around the world, which I think the United States has that role.
Would you expect as lengthy of an investigation for this one?
I have no idea how long it will take, but if it's Elon Musk, it might take 15 minutes.
That's probably what I think we'll see.
He's
Yeah.
quick, he's direct, and gets to the bottom of things pretty quickly, as we've seen.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for this segment. We'll have to move on and leave the conversation there, but we have a lot more to break down this morning.